We haven't heard from Juan in a while. Not like a while. I don't know if Juan was a part of it in and out yesterday or Monday.
Yeah, I think the excitement in Houston's died off a little bit since the season started. I think that's probably a big reason why. Maybe he's just busy with other stuff. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I was expecting a big year for the Cougars, and it is anything but that at this point. In fact, I would love to know from Houston fans of kind of what your reaction right now and feeling is surrounding Dana Holgorsen, because, honestly, it kind of feels like almost like, are they going to have to think about doing something in the relatively near future if it goes this way still, or continues on this path where it's just kind of very – I don't know, like uptight and angsty and just off kilter, and I don't know.
This isn't just losing a couple games, right? I mean, this is when you're losing a game, you've got guys fighting on the sideline.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Like those things happen when you've got tension there. And let's go back to a couple years ago when they stashed everybody, in their red shirt years, and they tried to do that with De'Aaron King, and they still lost him. So, like, the things that have been going on at Houston are not conventional in a lot of different ways. So they're trying to, okay, we're going to be bad this year. We've got some injuries. Let's stash all these red shirts. And then they lost a lot of them in the transfer portal anyway. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster for them. I know that they like Dana Holgorsen and that, Tillman Fertitta especially like Dana Holgorsen. But how long before you kind of can't just ride that roller coaster anymore?
I think the good thing for them, the saving grace, is that the only time they've really been blown out was the Kansas game. But other than that, it was a one-score game against Rice. But then again, that was a game that you had to win by a score against Rice, which for a team that you've set up, as you said, Paul, like this was supposed to be the run. I still go back to them losing out to McCaskill was a killer. That was a killer in the offseason. I can't wait to watch him run again. But still, you weren't expecting heading into this year with Clayton Tune, a super senior quarterback, and just what you felt like you sort of had building to eke one out against Rice. Now, hey, maybe give credit to the Owls too, right? But when you did have the situation the week prior to that, or it was a couple weeks ago with the fighting on the sideline, that was just a terrible look. I mean, that was just an awful look, and I guess they've squared all that away. But they got the OT win over UTSA. They got the 7-point win over Rice. They barely lost in overtime to Texas Tech. And they got, beat up by Kansas, but there's no shame in that this year. So they could be 4-0, or I guess, 3-1, probably at their best, and 0-4 at their worst.
How many teams that are in Power 5 conferences have played the Houston schedule?
Yeah, no, it's a good schedule.
And we're not trying to say it's against Georgia and Alabama, but again, how many teams in a Power 5, or even those who are like Notre Dame and Brigham Young outside of a Power 5 conference, have played who Houston has played? Now, that doesn't mean you can lose, but it's pretty darn good.
It's great. It's fine.
Especially with Kansas rising up the way they have.
I think the issue is then when you barely beat Rice. Now, granted, if Rice comes out and turns out to be a pretty good team, then okay, you can chalk that up. But just in my brain, the way that it's wired, they have not been that for like a really long time. And that would be the game you feel like you let all your frustrations out. And I know there's a lot that goes into, the injuries and just all the different, obstacles and adversity. But when I saw that little sideline tiff, even though that's, now in the rear view, that just felt like a program that was about to burst at the seams. And so maybe it's settled down since then, but that's why I'm curious to hear from Houston fans, because I've definitely seen my fair share who are not in on Holgo and who feel like it's just a matter of time before, the house burns down. And let's not forget, the gasoline he threw on with his post-game comments here recently, where that really lets you know, okay, even if they win a game, it's not exactly great in H-Town right now, when he's in the post-game talking about, what was his quote?
That's that,
what was it he said, though? It was
wasn't it something to do? I'm not going to take.
I'm tired of talking to you're trying to motivating players, and he
also said something about, I'm not going to be the one that takes accountability for some of the things that we did.
Yeah, it was weird comments about being just tired of having to motivate his guys, and that added a little bit to it, where you're like, okay, so I wasn't tripping when I just overreacted to the sideline thing, and some other things that have popped up in some tweets that I've seen. That just, like I said, poured some more gasoline on it. So, Houston fans out there, is it all good, or is there actually a little bit of? Well, I don't know, man.
We have a super chat 10 again.
Wow,
from
awesome.
Aaron
Thank
Alley.
you.
I'm a Houston fan, but if we keep Dana Holgorsen and the coaching staff Going into the Big 12, I think we will be horrible.
Okay.
I don't know about that, but I appreciate the opinion.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's what I asked for, and didn't ask for the 10, but thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You know, there are the rare occasions where Pat Knight, you know, the coach, a basketball coach, can call out some players because of some things that are going on, and it's okay. But to kind of say I'm not going to take the responsibility or the, to do a certain thing, when you're a college football coach, and Craig, I know you'll get this reference, but at the end of the Dark Knight, Batman took the heat for a murder because he could take it, because he had to. Well, when you're the coach, you got to be Batman. I mean, you have to be the guy who can take the heat. Like, yes, these things are going on. It's under your watch. Could he be right that he doesn't have to take the blame for some things? Yes, but guess what you have to do? You don't have to say that. You just have to say, yeah, we'll get that fixed. The responsible parties will deal with that. But saying that I'm not going to do it, that's letting your emotions get the better of you, because your job is, sadly, as the head coach, even things that aren't really your fault.
If your kids act up, and we've seen this before, if your kids act up, they get a fight on the side, something's missing.
Yeah,
and it might just be pure, just you have to blow a gasket, and you just hope it doesn't get to be what we saw a couple of weeks ago.
Well, I think that's the concern, is that he seems like he's always about to blow a gasket. He's always hopped up on Red Bull, and it always seems like he's at that breaking point level just in general. But yeah, I looked for his exact quote: tired of yelling at them, tired of motivating, tired of all that crap. That's what he said. Now, that's not, horrible by any means. That's clearly just frustration and letting frustration go. But yeah, I wonder how much that frustration is building up. They have played a tough schedule, though. I just think everybody kind of expected them to be in a better spot. But hey, there's a long way to go. We'll see. But yeah, I was curious, just kind of on the temperature check with Holgorsen and Houston fans and how they were feeling about that. And so thanks to, what'd you say, was it Juan that you said?
Aaron Alley.
I think that, okay. Aaron, I don't know why I got that so confused, but I do appreciate your feedback, because, I mean, y'all know better than anybody. You're down there and you're fans of the program, and you know kind of what the deal is.
Aaron, you can contact us. We do appreciate it. It's now 10-10 and now 5.
Oh, wow.
I would like to see the University of Houston bring Tom Herman back. Who, again, he left because there was that opportunity at the University of Texas. It was hard for him to turn down. And I don't know if he's getting back into college coaching or if he's going to be a head coach anytime soon. But we appreciate, again, $25 from Aaron. You don't have to do that every time, but we do appreciate it.
Hey, Herman basically launched what's going on at Tech right now, and like what's kind of the UTSA vibes as well. Not that he was a Texas high school coach that rose the ranks like a Jeff Traylor or a Joey McGuire, but it just kind of feels like that program that just does things a little bit differently because they're not a part of like the big party, you know what I mean? And they just go and get really good players who aren't necessarily 4 and 5 stars constantly, but they get like a little share of that too. And it's, I don't know, just fun offense, nasty defense. I kind of think of him in that same mold. And then those thoughts really dissipated when he went to Austin, and it kind of turned into, what you didn't want it to be if you were Texas fans, which was like not as gritty, at least it felt like. Well, some of his quirks kind of getting in the way at times. And I know that was also probably judged in some ways a little bit too harshly, his tenure there when you look back at it in hindsight. But Herman is definitely somebody I'm very curious about his goals and where he kind of sees himself, because I think it's a no-brainer that somebody hires him back in the college ranks if they can. Well,
there are places where your game works, where your thing works, and some places it doesn't. Look, Clay Helton was not the head coach at USC. Lincoln Riley can have that vibe. He can be the guy who can have the Oklahoma vibe because he's from West Texas and gets that. He can also be the SoCal guy because he's young and cool and hip. Clay Helton can go to Georgia State and win there and beat, because he's from Memphis. He's from, that's his vibe. Tom Herman, for all the things you think, this guy certainly has the Texas vibe, he didn't really. He didn't have it. He didn't know how to wrangle things there. And granted, the last 3 guys haven't known how to wrangle things there. And a couple guys before the guy who wrangled things there couldn't quite get it, in line. So, yeah, I don't think, but if it's Arizona State or Houston or something like that, I think Herman could do a great job.
And he does have, I know he's a California guy, but he does have plenty of Texas experience at this point, a lot of it. So I definitely think that, he could probably be a chameleon sort of anywhere, but West Coast and down south seem like safe bets.
Retired stockbroker on the Super Chat, $25.
Wow.
Craig, I'll give Hogo until this Friday. Eat him up from a Cougar alum.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Fair enough. Yeah, appreciate you.
Also, Dean on the chat.